let's talk tariffs. I know we keep coming back to the same topic because it's such a central topic for the Trump administration. This is the thing that they seem to be dealing with on a daily basis, and things change constantly, and he keeps changing his mind, and things keep adjusting, and so it's constantly going on. And since I just did a whole 3 days on trade, literally 3 days, 8 hours total on trade and tariffs. Yeah, I mean, hampering trade, raising tariffs, there's just no positives, just no positives. It's all negative. And in this case, it's all negative. So the Trump tariffs are all negative. I try to look for positives. I try to, trade-offs. It's just the only positive is, if you want to think of it as a positive, is revenue is growing. But that's a positive? I don't know how that's a positive. That's a tax. That means that taxes have gone up on all of us, and it's a hidden tax, and it's a tax we won't acknowledge, and Trump is touting this as if it's something to be proud of, that he's now taxing all of us more. Kind of bizarre. All right, let's go down the deals. I mean, there's a bunch of deals. We've done a bunch of deals have been announced. None of them have been written up. Not a single one of the deals do we have a clear articulation of, what exactly is involved, and all the goods and reciprocity and tariffs on goods coming in and tariffs on goods going to the other country. We don't have the details of all this. All of these are like general principles that Trump has tweeted about, pretty much. Well, somebody's tweeted about. So all of these are frameworks. These are not ultimate deals, and that just it continues. Now, they were all coming in under, with the exception of Brazil, under what Trump had promised. So they're all coming in below kind of the worst case scenario. Like almost all the deals so far, with the exception of China, are 20% or below. So nothing's above that. And that's a rate which will not kill trade, hurt trade, reduce your standard of living, reduce your quality of life, and increase revenue, because we'll still buy stuff. Just not as much, because it'll be more expensive. All right, so we got a trade framework with the UK. The United States would charge 10% baseline tariffs on UK goods. But there are all kind of quotas and exemptions and stuff. Again, hard to tell exactly what's going on because there's nothing in writing. There's no deal to go over. Trump just met with Starmer in Scotland when Trump was there golfing, and we still don't know what exactly is going to be in the deal. So there's still tariffs on UK steel and aluminum at the 50% level, right? But are they going to slash them? How much? It seems like the U.S. is going to cut them, but it's not clear how much. And then there's a UK digital services tax, which the U.S. wants scrapped, but it seems to be continuing. And yeah, we don't have details. Vietnam got one of the higher rates, 20%. 20%. That was on July 2nd. And added to the 20% is a 40% tariff on what's called transshipping. So if the United States can show that the goods being sent from Vietnam are really like made in China, and they're just going through Vietnam to get the low tariff, then the United States is going to slap a 40% tax on those. So China's going to have to look at other countries to do the transshipping through. Transshipping was something Chinese manufacturers were doing from the first Trump administration when he placed tariffs on China. Now they're going to have to figure out how to do it differently. But this is just the 40. I don't think Vietnam expected 20%. They expected lower. They had expected 11%. but Trump unilaterally did 20%. And again, no details of a deal. Supposedly, they're not charging us much tariffs at all. Indonesia got 19%. Why 19%? Not clear. But maybe it's because the White House, maybe 19 rather than more, is because Indonesia is going to eliminate trade barriers completely on over 99% of U.S. products exported to Indonesia. Agriculture, energy, and other stuff, right? So some barriers are falling for them and for American exporters. None are really falling for us. Remember, tariffs on all these countries, before Trump came into office, were single digits, low single digits. So taxes have been raised. I mean, they're lower than what he promised in April, but they're 5, 6 times higher than what they were before April. Philippines got also 19. So Philippines was treated like Vietnam, got also 19%. There are all kinds of non-tariff barriers, and the framework says they're going to be addressed. Again, no deal yet, nothing in writing, just unilateral. It's Indonesia that got 19. Sorry. What did the Philippines get? 19 as well. So Vietnam 20, Indonesia 19, Philippines 19. All right. Japan got 15. And he said, Trump called the deal perhaps the largest deal ever made, although it's a stupid deal because suddenly we're paying a lot of money for Japanese goods. Not clear why. American car companies weren't happy with this one because 15% on Japanese cars, but American cars now have, if they bring them in from Mexico, American companies or Canada, they pay 25%. This deal is not clear exactly what is going on. The Japanese don't seem happy with this at all. And again, it's still not in writing. Japan did say, according to Trump, that they would invest $550 billion in the United States and that the United States would receive 90% of the profit. How does that work? It doesn't make any sense. And by the way, here's the funny thing about trade, right? Countries like Japan, with which we run trade deficits, all the dollars that they have beyond what they use to import stuff, they invest in the U.S. So is $550 billion of investment in the U.S. unusual? Is that big? Japan is one of the largest buyers of U.S. government bonds in the world. They heavily invest in the United States already. Is this in addition to that? Is this just recognizing something that's already happening anyway? None of that is clear. None of that is clear. It's just, at this point, most of the stuff is type. We got a deal with the EU at 15%. Again, auto companies are not that happy with it. Trump called it the best deal, ever. European Commissioner thought it was the best deal they could get in a very difficult circumstances, but nobody's happy about this deal. South Korea got 15%. We basically had a free trade deal with South Korea. Tariffs, for the most part, was zero with South Korea before Trump. Again, U.S. Commerce Secretary is saying that they have promised to invest $350 billion in the United States. 90% of the profits from that will go to American people. What does any of that mean? I don't understand these investments. I don't understand. I mean, there's talk, of course, about some of these investments being determined by President Trump will decide where the money goes. I mean, that sounds a little scary in the sense that, ripe for corruption? No, not this administration. Trump would never do that. That would never happen. Come on, Yaron. Right now, there's so many different tariff rates, right? The different products like steel, aluminum, copper, automobiles, are all on a different scale than the individual country tariffs. Customs are complaining that they can't keep track. It's too complex. Their software is struggling. They have to retool it every night. And there's so many codes. And every country is different. So, in addition to that, businesses have to fix it. So customs is making lots of errors. People are struggling to keep up. Customs can't keep up. Brokers, they're sent there in order to help businesses clear customs. Are saying, quote, customs don't keep up with it. The broker didn't keep up with it, and the importer didn't even know it was happening. And it keeps changing every day. Whoops, what happened there? 1 second. All right, we're back. Okay. So real havoc going on. It's according to the Tax Foundation, I haven't checked the numbers, but according to the Tax Foundation, the tariffs so far have amount to an average tax increase on pretty much every U.S. household in 2025 alone of $1,300. I mean, it's not like we're all going to go bankrupt, but it's $1,300. Now, today, Donald Trump had a long conversation with the president of Mexico, Claudia Sheinbaum. And he said the conversation was very successful. He likes Claudia for some reason. He doesn't like the Canadians, but he gets along with Claudia. I'm not sure what it is she has on him. Very successful. More and more, he says, we're going to know and understand each other. He writes the complexities of a deal with Mexico are somewhat different than other nations because of both the problems and assets of the border. We have agreed to extend for a 90-day period. So he's extended the Mexico, we don't know yet what the tariff will be, for 90 days. The exact deal, same deal as we had for the last short period of time, namely Mexico will continue to pay a 25% fentanyl tax, 25% tariff on cars, so higher taxes on cars coming from Mexico, which are American cars, than from Japan or Germany. Go figure, right? You tell me how that makes sense, but this is why American companies are not happy. And 50% tariff on steel, aluminum, and copper. Additionally, Mexico has agreed to immediately terminate its non-tariff trade barriers, of which there were many. We will be talking to Mexico over the next 90 days with the goal of signing a trade deal somewhere within the 90-day period of time, or longer. So he's already building in the potential for an extension. Present at the meeting were Vice President J.D. Vance, Secretary Bassett, Marco Rubio, Ludwig, Trade Representative, There will be continued cooperation on the border as it relates to all aspects of security, including drugs, drug distribution, and illegal immigration into the United States. So we don't yet have a deal with Mexico. Who knows when we'll have a deal with Mexico? The tariffs are pretty bad with Mexico. 25% on all that stuff. Those are not good. And we will see. The drama continues. There's no deal with Canada yet. India was a surprise. I thought they were working on a deal with India. I thought J.D. Vance was over there and he had softened it all up. I thought there was real progress being made with the Indians, and there was going to be something done. Well, it turns out no. So Trump unilaterally placed 25% tariff on India and some kind of penalty On top of that, for India buying oil from Russia, indeed, there's news now that the Indian refineries are stopping the purchase of oil from Russia in order to kind of abide by him. I guess India's state-owned oil refineries, I'm just reading for the story, stopped importing Russian oil after U.S. President Trump threatened 100% tariffs for cooperation with Russia. The suspension began this week. Indian Oil Corp, the largest oil company operating 10 of India's 20 refineries with 60 million ton annual capacity, has ceased purchasing Russian oil. Well, that's good. So Russia's going to become more desperate in terms of where it sends its oil. But yeah, India got slammed, and the main issue with India was they wouldn't open up the ag market. They wouldn't open up the agricultural market to U.S. They're afraid of farmers revolting if they start having to compete with American farmers, who are much more productive. Finally, something that might affect all of you. Not finally. Let's do this first. We talked about. I think we've talked about Brazil. He's increased in Brazil even more, above the 50% he had originally said. And then the big one, I think, for a lot of people is this, what do you call it? These tariffs on stuff you get in the mail from outside the country. Like if you buy something and it comes from Europe, it comes somewhere else, if it's under, it used to be, if it's under 800, right, then you just don't pay a tariff on it. It's just not worth them the time for them to collect it. It's a major hassle for all of us, because if you order something mail order and there's a tax to be collected, import duty, where does it get collected? How do you clear customs? It now becomes much more cumbersome. It's called a de minimis exemption. It's not really an exemption, and it's not a loophole. It's just, you don't have to pay a tax if you buy something under 800. Well, Trump has basically said that's gone. You don't have to pay. You have to pay on everything. You have to pay on everything. $80% minimum tariff. If they mail something and they buy it off the internet, at least from Europe, and I think that's true of Asia as well. I think other countries it's higher. This all starts August 29th. So if you want to do shopping through Timo or anything like that, do it before August 29th. Do it before August 29th. I mean, people worry about, Amazon doesn't have competition. Well, they finally got competition from these Chinese companies like Temu. And this is basically going to destroy that competition unless they open up warehouses in the United States and find a way to source the stuff. Amazon's very happy. They now dominate the online buying stuff, and consumers should be very sad. Americans should be very sad. Now, he could change his mind by August 29th, but this one he's already changed his mind twice, I think. So this would be a change of a change of a change of mind, something like that. Anyway, all of this at the margin suppresses trade, reduces the amount of goods flowing across the oceans, at least to America. That reduces your standard of living, quality of life. The stuff that does come across the ocean is more expensive. It's just a fact. It's more expensive by the tariff. You are paying the tariff. We know that because government revenues are going up. The fact that government revenues are going up is a sign, as if you needed one, that you are paying the tariff, not producers overseas, because if they paid the tariff, it wouldn't flow to Treasury. They would pay the tariff by lowering prices. But we know they're not because they couldn't, because they don't have margins high enough to lower prices. So we are all seeing an increase in the costs of things that we are buying that are made outside the country, which is a significant amount of stuff, and a significant amount of stuff that enhances our well-being. Again, global trade is a massive net positive. It's a win-win-win-win-win-win-win. Americans do not lose. Just to go over my day before last at the Peterson Academy, trade at low rates of tariff, 0 ideally. Global trade does not reduce wages, actually helps increasing them. Does not increase unemployment. It doesn't change employment. It doesn't reduce GDP growth. It doesn't even, in any kind of meaningful sense, America is not deindustrialized because of China. We're actually producing more stuff than we ever had before. Middle class is more robust than it ever has been before. More people have moved out of the middle class to being rich than ever before. By every parameter, the United States is doing well. Not in spite of trade, to some extent because of trade. And it's very, very hard to measure the impact of what the tariffs are going to have. Very hard to measure. Very hard to tell. And we might not know for 20 years exactly what happened, how it affected our economy. All we know, pretty much with certainty, because if you know a little bit of economics, you know this, that it's damaged our economy. How much? Don't know. Exactly where? Don't know. Negative? Absolutely. Tariffs are lose, 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 lose. No beneficiaries. None. Maybe because tax revenue will go up, some of the people who got their taxes cut this last round of tax cuts, but it's not even clear that the revenue increases are going to be sustainable. And the debt is increasing no matter what. So it's not like this was a game changer and changed the trajectory in any kind of way. Yeah, tariffs and anti-trade and what I call the not just me, a lot of people are calling it the neo-mercantilists. There's nothing good about neo-mercantilism. Mercantilism was bad to begin with. Neo-mercantilism is bad. It's just bad. All right, in the meantime, maybe waiting to the rescue are the courts. This morning, the case that a number of plaintiffs have brought against the Trump administration, claiming that these tariffs, the tariffs they use, this Emergency Economic Act, the argument, the International Emergency Economic Powers Act, the IEEPA. Anyway, today there were arguments made with regard to the IEEPA and these tariffs. Most of these tariffs, not all of them, like the steel, aluminum, copper, automobile tariffs, fentanyl tariffs. Those tariffs are under a different provision. They're under national security. That I don't think the courts will ever overturn. This one is the 15% on Japan, the 20% on, 19% in Indonesia and the Philippines, the whatever it is on India. Those tariffs, even the Brazilian tariffs, those are all under the International Emergency Economic Powers Act, an act that does not mention tariffs even once, and that requires declaring an emergency, an economic emergency. Anyway, arguments were made before the federal appellate court today, and it really seemed like, you can sometimes tell from the questions that the judges are asking and their attitude while they ask the questions, it really does seem like the judges are skeptical of the use of the law to justify tariffs. Now, you remember a lower court, the International Trade Court, American International Trade Court, ruled that what Trump was doing was unconstitutional. All these tariffs are unconstitutional. Now it's on appeal. Trump administration appealed it. And now the appellate court is going to have to decide. And of course, this case is guaranteed to go to the Supreme Court. And this will be one of the more interesting cases. It will go up probably in the fall. The appellate court is viewing it now, maybe in the winter. But within 6 to 9 months, we will know. We will know. It could be massive. If they rule this unconstitutional, first of all, it would make all these tariffs go away instantly. Now, Trump will find a way to reinstitute them based on some other unconstitutional legal provision, which then we'll have to go through the court to figure it out. But there'll be a gap there, and there'll be a reprieve. It will increase uncertainty for the markets. Nobody will like it, but at least for a while, we'll get these tariffs off our back. And maybe Trump at that point will be too lazy to actually reinstate them. I think a lot of people, including Bessner, the Treasury Secretary, are hoping that that's what happened. I think a lot of people, even within the administration, are hoping that the courts save them because they know this is horrible, stupid, disastrous policy. So one of the judges today said, when we look at the statute, the IEEPA, we see foreign exchange, payments, currency, and that the law gives the president the power to regulate those, right? But tariffs seems to have no friends in that statute. So it doesn't seem like they appear in the statute, and they don't. One of the other judges said, or the lawyer who argued for the plaintiff, actually, the lawyer who argued for the plaintiff said, you just heard an argument in response to several judges' questions that our federal courts are powerless and that the president can do whatever he wants, whenever he wants, for as long as he wants, so long as he declares an emergency. That is a breathtaking claim to power that no president has asserted in 200 years, and the consequences are staggering. So I think that's true. That's all true. So it's not just, I mean, this case is important not only because tariffs are bad and it would be great to get rid of them. This case is important because I think it's unequivocal that this is a case of presidential. This is an issue of executive power. Can the president just make up emergencies and do whatever the hell he wants? So it'll be interesting to see. We'll see what happens. He says Trump wrote today in response to kind of what was going on in the court. If our country was not able to protect itself by using tariffs against tariffs, we would be dead with no chance of survival or success. So he's making this a life or death issue. He's also tariffs against tariffs, as if the other side, other countries have very, very low tariffs with us. And again, Mexico, for example, we had NAFTA, which the Trump version of NAFTA, which basically set tariffs at zero for a lot of stuff. So it's complete BS. This is about executive power. So let's see what the courts rule and how this goes. I know that the Corday Gallery, I think, is one of the plaintiffs. I don't know if this is their case, if they've joined cases. I know this is the case that Ilya Somin has taken, and he's got a number of plaintiffs there. I don't know if they've combined cases and they're all in front of the, because they're like at least 3, maybe 5 different cases arguing against the IEEPA and its constitutionality. One of them with the Pacific Legal Foundation. I don't think this is the Pacific Legal Foundation case. I think this was the Ilya Somin case.